It's a blowout. 8th inning, 10-3. Bases are loaded for Verlander, who waits on a 3-0 pitch. He swings, and it's a high fly ball, deep center field. It is gone! Home run! And a huge bat flip to celebrate. All right, Ben, start the show already.
What is up, everybody, and welcome into a Saturday special of Flippin' Bats. On FS1 later today, the Cubs and the White Sox will be facing off against each other. And who better to talk to than a guy that knows a good bit about that crosstown rivalry? AJ Pierzynski is going to talk to me about a little bit about his career, preview this series that starts between the Cubs and the White Sox, and talk about this White Sox team that he knows a good bit about. But I'm excited to talk to him. Make sure you tune in later on FS1. Let's bring him in now, AJ Pierzynski. AJ, thank you so much for joining me, man.
Oh, thanks for having me, Ben. And I don't have the super fancy lighting like you do, so I'm sorry that it's a little bit darker than your fancy studio you have. So.
You look perfect. You look great, AJ. Hey, I want to start with your career for a little bit before we get into this weekend. And in 2005, I remember it so well. You signed with the White Sox, and you're there, and your first year there, you win a World Series. It was truly incredible to see and to watch that year. When you look back on that year, what are some things what are some of your best memories from that year winning the World Series?
Well, the guys, first of all. I think anybody that has ever done it, you just remember the people, you remember the moments, and you just think about, gosh, if I could do it all over again, I'd get to enjoy it a little bit more. But the guys and the way we reacted with each other, the way we were all, listen, whenever you say everyone gets along all the time, no, it never happens. There's plenty of stories out there of me getting in fights with people or whatever, arguments. But at the end of the day, we had a team of 25 guys that just wanted to win. And I look back and say, man, we might not have been the most talented team ever, but we were the team that wanted to win more than any other team I've probably ever been on. And we all had that common goal. And those guys are still some of the best friends I have in my life, whether it's Joe Creedy, Burley, Canerco. Those guys will always be like my friends for life. And it's a special moment. And then the city of Chicago. I mean, Ben, think about it. The city of Chicago went 88 years without winning a World Series. And to be the team to do it, and especially to do it before that other team up north, it means a lot.
You talk about getting into it a little bit with some guys, but you were also, it's interesting with you, like you're also very loved and you were voted into the All-Star game by the fans. You were also voted at one point or the most hated player. Like, how is that possible, AJ? Like, how are you so loved and so hated sometimes? Like, it's incredible.
Well, I mean, we could, if we had your brother on here, we could ask him about that. I mean, I think as far as the fans go, especially in Chicago, they knew I was going to come and play every day. They knew that I wasn't going to take a day off. I was very, very rarely injured. If I could play, I was going to play. And I think people respect that because they want to see people play. And I never took days off. I always wanted to play. And then as far as the hated stuff, listen, I always tell people this, and I'll go down to this, that I had to play with an edge and I had to play with hate. And I think it was more just the way I was brought up from the minor leagues that I had to hate the guy on the other team. Now, I might not hate you off the field, but say my best friend in baseball was pitching against me, I would make up an excuse to hate them just so I could get excited for the game. And that's how I played. That's just how I had to play. And I have friends but I would be just like, I hate this guy for the next 3 hours. And then afterwards we go out and have dinner and have a great time, have a couple beers and enjoy the night. But for those 3 hours, listen, I hate you. And you're trying to take money out of my pocket and I'm trying to take money out of your pocket. And let's see who the best man is.
I mean, I've seen that in person. We've all been in a room together. Me, you, Justin, just hanging out, having fun. But on the field, it was a different story for a while there. So that just is right to your point. And, I wanted to ask you about, as a catcher, one of the coolest things I have to imagine is being able to catch a no-hitter. And you caught not only a no-hitter from Mark Burley, you caught a perfect game from Philip Humber. And like how awesome, obviously that's really cool. But when you look back on those two, the perfect game and the no-hitter, what's one thing that sticks out from each of those that you're like, oh man, that was pretty crazy?
That I didn't screw it up. that I was like, please, 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 God, please don't let me call the wrong pitch or don't let me do something to screw this up. Yeah, I think the no-hitter for Burley was unbelievable just because he did it. And, no-hitters in perfect games are not planned. Like winning the World Series, you can kind of feel it coming, feel the momentum building, and you're like, okay, we're going to win the World Series. But no-hitters just come out of nowhere. And then for Phil Humber to throw a perfect game, I love Phil Humber as a guy, but he's got to be the least likely guy in the history of baseball to throw a perfect game, right? Like Burley threw a no-hitter, then he threw a perfect game. And as a catcher, you can feel it coming, and you don't really get excited until about the seventh inning.
Yeah.
And then you get to the eighth, and then you get to the ninth, and you're like, please just put the right fingers down. And to be honest, the no-hitter was easier because he had already walked somebody. So you're like, okay, we had like a 5-0 lead. So if he walks somebody else, who cares? Like we can pitch around guys, get to matchups. But in a perfect game, there is no pitching around anybody. You have to come after everybody, try to get everybody out. So you get to the ninth inning, and Humber, there was not a play. There was nothing in that hole for 27 outs except for like easy outs. There was never like a diving catch or a super play. It was just like the easiest 20. And then the last pitch, if you've seen the highlight, he throws it like 4 feet outside, check swing. I miss it. I have to run over, throw the ball to first. Thank God Brendan Ryan didn't run because it would have been really close. But I just remember just throw this and let Konerko catch it. And then I remember, and for once in my life, I got to enjoy the moment, even though I didn't throw the perfect game, but I was kind of off to the side because I was over by kind of the Seattle dugout.
Yeah. And
I got to watch all the teammates just come and jump on Phil. And then if you ever get to see you'll watch me, I'm like the last one. I kind of mosey out there, and then I just kind of fall backwards on top of everybody.
That's so
because
cool.
It was great because I had already seen, obviously already had a no-hitter, but I also got to see Burley throw his perfect game. And so I wasn't involved. I was on the bench and I was watching it. And then to get to be a part of it, be a part of one was amazing. So I actually got to take it in a little bit more than running out there and being the first one on Humber. I was kind of in the backdrop a little bit and got to enjoy the view a little bit more.
I forgot. I can't believe the last pitch, the last out was, you had to throw it to first. It's like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God.
Oh yeah. You're like, it's like, you're like, just, it wasn't running. So I almost was like, let's just roll it to first and see.
Oh God. A couple more questions before we get into what you do now and your transition into the booth. In your career, who is the toughest pitcher that you ever had to face?
Well, listen, if I had to say if I'd never want to have an at-bat off a guy again, I would say Mariano, just because every time he broke a bat, I got a hit off on my first at-bat, and I went 0 for 15 after that with 12 broken bats and a bunch of strikeouts, 1 ejection, I know. He's the one guy that I was like, gosh, I would take everyone else's bats up there because I knew didn't want to break my own. But the one guy that I would tell him I did tell him at an All-Star game, BJ Ryan. He was a lefty closer. He was with Baltimore and Toronto, and I could put the ball in play off just about anybody. He could throw a million or whatever, and I was 0 for 9 with 8 strikeouts off of him, and the only ball I hit was a ground ball. Was literally a ground ball back to the pitcher, and it was like my last at bat, and I ran to first like I had just hit a walk-off hit. I was like, yes, I hit the ball off you. And we had talked about it at the All-Star game. He was at the All-Star game in Pittsburgh in 2006. And he walked in, and I'm like, and I hid. He's like, what's wrong with you? I'm like, I can't look you in the eyes because you just own me. And if I see you, I might turn to stone. So I'm going to run away real quick. And he just started laughing. He was following me everywhere. And I was like, no, BJ, stop. You scare me. And he's like, come on. I'm like, dude, I cannot even touch a ball off you. And we just laughed. And I finally hit a ball in play off him. And I was so happy.
I can't just gloss over this. What was the ejection off Mariano Rivera about?
Bob Davidson threw. He brung me up on a pitch. It's the only time I got suspended. He threw a pitch, and literally I went like this, and I felt the ball hit my shirt as it went by. So it was like, whew. And then Bob Davidson's like, strike 3. And I'm like, Bob, you got to be kidding me. And he's like, nope, strike 3. And I go, Bob, the ball hit my shirt. And he's like, nope, strike 3. And I'm like, Bob, this guy's going to the Hall of Fame. He's the best closer of all time. And you're giving his plate the plate is 5 feet wide. How am I supposed to hit it? And he's like, it's the 9th inning. You're out of here, right? So I took my helmet and I threw it at him, and it spun at his feet for 30 seconds. It's like, And then so then after the game, I'm walking out and here come the umpires and I see Bob and Bob's like, "You got your money's worth." I'm like, "Yeah, thank you." And he goes, "What'd you think?" I go, "Well, it was a ball, Bob." He goes, "You're right, I missed it, but it's too late now. Enjoy your 1-game suspension or whatever." I was like, "Thanks, Bob."
Oh God, that's great. When you look at the game today, when you watch baseball, who is, if you could pick one catcher that you love to watch and have to tune in and watch, who would that catcher be?
Oh, well, I mean, geez.
Or who are some of your favorite? It doesn't have to be one.
Real Muto is the guy. He's the guy for me when I watch games that I love to watch. He's so athletic.
Mm-hmm.
The way he moves, the way he throws. I mean, he can run. He has power. He can hit. But the way he does it defensively to me is the best. I had a talk with him one time. If you watch games, guys on base, sometimes he goes to a knee, sometimes he doesn't. And I said, "JT, how do you do that?" And he goes, "I wait and hear if the runner's going. If he's not going, I go to a knee. And if he's going, then I get in a throwing stance." I'm like, "You do that quick?" He's like, "Yeah." I'm like, "You're way better than I ever was." Because I never could have been athletic enough. I never could have been athletic enough to be like, okay, one knee, he's not going, get down on one knee. I mean, it was just, he's the guy, like if I turn on TV, I want to watch. Yachty was great back. He's a little bit, long in the tooth, I guess is the right word. He's a little bit older now.
Yeah.
He doesn't move like he used to, but if I'm turning on the game, I mean, JT is the guy that I want to see.
Love that. So your career finishes up and now you've transitioned into the booth. What has that transition been like for you, and how much fun are you having doing this?
It was fairly easy, I think. It was because I had been doing stuff for Fox for a long time when I was playing.
Mm-hmm.
So I got to go in and meet a lot of people and knew a lot of people. Now I'd called a game, only a couple games with Smoltz and Matty V. 2015, we had the Astros and the Royals series. So we got to do some games, but I had never gotten to do a game by myself. So the first week when Fox hires me in 2017, they're like, "Okay, your first game is Yankees at Rays." Well, nothing like throwing you in the Yankee fire, right? Everyone tunes in to watch the Yankees. So
right.
the first game, I'm like, I have Kenny Albert, who's just one of the most professional, greatest broadcasters of all time. And we get through the game, and I just look back, and I'm like, that had to be horrible sounding because I had no idea anything. And since then, you start learning things from guys, and the people at Fox kind of tell you this, and the producers are like, okay, this and that. And now I think it's fun. I mean, it is the closest you could be without being on the field to being involved in baseball. I think I still get to fly around and meet guys. I still get to get on the field for batting practice and talk to guys. I still get to be involved in the game. But at the same time, guess what? Doesn't matter who wins or loses. I go home happy. I just went under a 3-hour game with no rain delays, right? So I mean, we all have our teams that we root for, but at the end of the day, I don't care who wins. I just want a good game. I don't want a blowout. I want a 3-2 game, and I want something cool to happen that we can talk about for 3 innings, or a funny person in the stands we can talk about for half an inning, eating out of the nacho helmet or a ball landing in a guy's beer, whatever it is, like something to entertain people and keep us entertained.
So this weekend, now you'll be on FS1 calling the game between the White Sox and the Cubs. What should we be looking for in that series? Give us a series preview between those two teams.
Well, Ben, I don't know how much how well you know me, but my love for the Cubs organization does not go, very deep, run very deep.
I've heard a story or two.
So, I mean, I'll tell you what you look for. I guarantee you on Saturday when we do this game, they'll only be probably every inning break. There'll be a huge fight between me and Michael Barrett that will probably show on loop every time we go to a break. Listen, the White Sox haven't played the way they're capable of. I think the Cubs have some good young players, and depending on what the pitching matchup, if you get a Hendricks and against the White Sox, he can be very good if he keeps his changeup down, doesn't pitch to Jose Abreu. But the White Sox have to get it going, and I think this is a perfect opportunity. The city rival, the city, whatever they call it now, it's changed so many times. The City Classic in Chicago is a huge deal. When I was in Chicago, listen, I played in Yankees, Red Sox, I played in Dodgers, Giants, I played in all the big rivalries. This one for one city is incredible. The city goes crazy. The people are all after it. They're all into it. They can't wait, and nothing as a White Sox player meant more than beating the Cubs. And listen, I still root for the White Sox, and I want the White Sox to win every single time they play the Cubs. Now on the air, I'll be very neutral, and I'll try to hide my feelings. But I think this is the opportunity. The White Sox have kind of crept back to 500. They're kind of getting everybody back. This is just an opportunity for them to get headed in the right direction. And again, it all depends on the pitching matchup. But I mean, the White Sox should go out and they should beat the Cubs pretty easily.
Last question for you, and it's about this White Sox team and kind of tying it back into your years with the White Sox. In 2005, you guys won it all, got over the hump, and were able to win it with a very talented team. This White Sox team now, for a couple of years, has been very talented. One of the best teams on paper in all of baseball. What do they have to do to get over that hump now? What is the last hurdle this team has to figure out to become not just a good baseball team and win a division, to become a championship-winning team?
I think they need to clean up their defense is the first thing we need to start with. Their defense last year and this year has been, I mean, horrific is an understatement. I think this year they're near the bottom, if not the bottom, in run save, errors. Their defense has been really bad. And I think if you go back to even last year when they lost to the Astros, they didn't hit in big situations, and their defense killed them in some spots. Their starters are good, not great. I think Giolito is good. Cease can be good. Lance Lynn, when he comes back, they're all very, very good, but they don't also have that guy that can take them to the next level. They don't have Justin Verlander. They don't have somebody that can say, all right, he's pitching game 1 and game 5, and we're winning those games no matter what. Yeah. They have very good starters. They're both back into their bullpen. They've tried to solidify. Hendricks is good. He's had some rough go. But they need to hit in big situations and not rely on the home runs, because when you get into the postseason, home runs are harder to come by. Yeah. And then the problem is the other teams they play, whether it's the Astros, the Yankees, whoever they end up playing in the playoffs, they put the ball in play more than a lot of the White Sox do, and they put pressure on the defense. And the White Sox defense has been, like I said, not very good.
So you want to see him go get one more big arm this year?
I mean, tell me who's available.
Yeah, good point.
I mean, listen, what team? I mean, maybe the Brewers, the Dodgers. Who is not looking for pitching? I mean, every team is looking for an arm, right? Top of the. I mean, there's only how many if you were going to say there's true aces, how many is there? 5 maybe in baseball? Off the top of your head, you'd say there's 5 true guys you can say, all right, this guy pitches, we're winning. I mean, Garrett Cole.
Yeah.
I mean,
Garrett,
Bueller,
Justin,
maybe.
Corbin Burns, Jacob deGrom, who's out, Scherzer, who's out. But yeah.
I mean, honestly.
You're not getting to 10.
You can count them on. No, you say, okay, this guy's pitching on this day, we're going to win. There's not. Of course, you threw your brother in there. I 5 years ago, maybe.
He's the best pitcher in baseball right now.
I'm just kidding. I knew. Well, you did hit a home run off of him, so I get it.
Good point. Yeah, good point. I plugged that for him. He had to get that in at some point here.
No, I knew that you would bring your brother. No, your brother's having a great year. So, no, you're right. He is. But it's such a limited number. So can you find a number 2 or number 3 guy that's better so you can bounce everybody either back or up or whatever you need to do to make it so your 4 in a playoff series is better than the other team's 4. And that's hard to find because depth is a problem. And just, I mean, it's for the White Sox, the defense is one. They have guys that don't strike out a ton of guys, so they need guys that can catch the ball other than Cease. So they need to figure out their defense and how to hit, especially in big situations.
Yeah. AJ, thank you so much for joining me, my friend. Good luck this weekend calling the game on FS1, Cubs and White Sox. I appreciate you joining me, man.
Thanks, Ben. Always good to see you. And, yes, I agree. Swing 3-0 and have fun.
All right, I just wanted to thank AJ Pierzynski for joining me. That was a really fun conversation. Make sure you all check out that game later today on FS1, Cubs and White Sox. This has been a blast, a Saturday special episode of Flippin' Bats. Thank you all for listening. Make sure you subscribe, follow wherever it is you listen to your podcast, Apple, Spotify, Google, wherever it may be. We're also on social media at Flippin' Bats Pod, everywhere you have social media, and you can watch the video on YouTube as well at Flippin' Bats Pod. Thank you all for listening. I will see you Monday for another episode of Flippin' Bats. Thanks for watching. If you love Flippin' Bats, swinging 3-0, or just talking ball, join us. Call us at 213-537-9339 with your questions. We have a weekly guest, and we have a lot of fun, so hit that subscribe button.